Hello and welcome to session 2 of Joyful Productivity. In this session, we're going to talk about and practice this idea that our state of being is perhaps our highest priority when we're trying to be productive and throughout the rest of our day. The top priority is not the web page we're writing, it's not the project we're working on, it's not even necessarily the client that we're looking at right in front of us, but it's our state of being. Because if we take care of our state of being, those other things tend to work better, right? So that's a mantra that I say to myself. It's my state of being is my highest priority. And speaking of the state of being, maybe we can start with an energy reboot. I walked us through that last time and gave a more complete version of it. And I thought maybe right now we can do some practice of that. Shall we? Okay. So if you would like to, you can close your eyes or not and hold your hands to your heart if you would like, and breathe in love. Breathe out total security as the reality of the world and of life for each of us. Breathe in love. Breathe out thanks. Breathe in wisdom. Breathe out the being and action of wisdom. Today, the virtue I'm focused on is moderation. So if you want to, you can breathe in moderation and breathe out the being and action of moderation today. So this is a practice that I do several times a day, before client meetings, before this meeting, before I start my workday, as I complete my workday, and any time that I'm not feeling 100%, I'll do the practice. So sometimes it ends up being every hour, sometimes. And I've done the practice so often that it's become possible for me to do it in just little moments throughout the day. Like even in this meeting, sometimes as I breathe, even if I'm talking to you, I might be thinking love and wisdom or something. And that's what I hope, whatever practice you decide to take on for your joyful productivity, breathing, prayer, whatever it is, mantra, affirmations, that you can pick a practice you could literally do in the midst of a client meeting, that the client doesn't even know you're doing it, or in the midst of writing an email, in the midst of whatever you're doing that might be challenging, or stretching your capacities. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a moment now just to thank those of you who are here live. And if you would like to, feel free to chat or not. It's totally up to you. So I want to move into talking about the purpose of work. And I invite you, if you're here live, or even if you're watching this video, to chat and let me know, what do you feel is the purpose of work? Think about the work that you do in your business, in your job. How would you, as you approach your day, say, well, I'm doing the work today because... Have a quick thought on that. And let me know what you think. And I'm just going to pause as you think about that. What is the purpose of work for you today? And I'll call out a couple of chats that are coming through live here. Eric says, for me, it's being of service. Yeah. Michael says it's self-realization and contribution. Great. Joselito says to share my gifts and to be of service. Yes. Zuzka says, well, it's muddled. On my day job, the purpose is to make money. For the things I care about, I think it's to make a positive impact. Yeah. Michael adds to align with soul purpose. So, another way of thinking about the purpose of work is, what is a good reason to work, right? What's a good reason to do your work today? And I think a good reason is a reason that is always there. So, for example, if I thought, well, the purpose of my marketing, is to get clients, or let me just be more specific. The purpose of marketing this workshop is to get, 100 students in the workshop or something like that. And a lot of us do that, right? It's that, we hyper focus on a particular number that we need to enroll into a particular course, program, client services, meet our numbers in your job, whatever it is, or finish my XYZ project by 5 p.m. if you're at a job, right? And the problem with having a purpose that is tied to the results in the world, especially when other people are involved, or somehow the ups and downs of the economy and society and technology, your internet signal being totally stable, everything is involved, is that you can often miss your purpose. If the purpose is to enroll 100 students into this course, well, guess what? For this live course at least, I didn't meet my purpose. I didn't enroll 100 students into this live course. So I'm a failure, you see. And that's the problem that we face just about every day in work, is when we focus, or, when we focus only on the thing that requires other people's actions, we frequently fail. And from failure comes discouragement, depression, and loss of traction, loss of energy, right? But when we can find a purpose or reason for doing the work that is there every day and that we can succeed in every day, then there's energy, there's joy, there's traction. And that energy and joy tend to spill out into the lesser purposes, which ironically makes those lesser purposes more successful. Does that make sense? So if, as Joselito wrote, to share my gifts and be of service, well, that doesn't depend on other people or the technology working or whatever. He can still share his gifts, however, whoever's in front of him, whatever he's doing, whether he's writing an email or, opening the door for somebody else, right? Michael's self-realization. Well, it doesn't require somebody else to be realized. And right now, as I'm talking to somebody who refuses to be realized, okay, I can still work on my self-realization and I'm still successful. Right now, today my focus is moderation. It doesn't require you to show up to this workshop or to comment or not. I can still work on my moderation now. And so I invite you to remind yourself today, the next hour, of what is a purpose that will set you up for success. And what's a purpose that can always be there, no matter if you are writing an email or writing a book or cleaning the toilet, cooking a meal, whatever it may be. What is the purpose? Since we cannot guarantee what the outer results will be. All right. Now, let's focus a bit more practically and talk about the lesser purposes. Keeping the higher purpose in mind, or the deeper purpose in mind. You can go one way or the other direction. Thankfully, we're surrounded by our greater purpose. But let's talk about the things that are more every day, what I'm gonna have to do. Most of us here are building a business of some kind, or even in your job, this might work. Our income is the result of our output, right? Income results from output, the quantity of output and the quality of output. And I'll add into this, the stability of our income and the quantity of our income depends on the stability and quality of our output. And so this makes me a little bit concerned when I hear someone say, and several people said this in the previous session, George, my schedule is different all the time. How can I follow a calendar like you do? It's one day I have demands from my family in this, another day I have to take care of this for this person, and I have to, it's all over the place every day. Can't follow a schedule. What that means is that's going to show up in your income as well. If you want a stable income and a growing income, you need a stable and continually consistent and higher quality schedule, right? Because income comes from output. And you can't have a stable and increasingly quality output when your schedule's all over the place. It's like you are trying to run a marathon, and then it's like, well, one day I practice and I go do my running. Another day, another month just goes by and I didn't really do my running. Well, you're never going to be in shape for the marathon. Or, maybe a better analogy is if you're trying to go from direction A to direction B, but one day you're going this direction, another day you're going this direction, another day you're never going to make any way towards B, right? And it really is stability and quality of output. That's it. That's it. So my question is, what are you avoiding in your work? When we talk about the more practical aspects of your work. And I invite you to write this down if you like. What project, what task, if you could create a quality outcome, quality output, and a consistent output, so these might be separate things. So I might say, well, I want to write a quality book. I want to create a quality course, okay? If I created a quality course, if I did if I did quality marketing, then I could enroll people into this course, okay? And then consistency. If I did my content consistently, then more people will find me over time. That's a given. I promise you that is a given, okay? If you get consistent with your YouTube videos or with your blogging or with your Facebook or with your Twitter or with whatever it is, you will have more of the right people find you over time. Guaranteed. That I can guarantee you. Most people aren't consistent and they don't focus on increasing quality. Now, my way to quality is through quantity. I just hack my way to quality. Some people, they meditate, reflect on long time to try to get to quality, and that could work. I haven't found that to work because I get stuck in perfectionism and the aesthetics of something or whatever it may be, the right words, all that stuff gets me stuck. And so I said, forget the perfection of this moment. I'm a big picture perfectionist. I look at the perfection of the entire process, and I know that if I let go of the perfection of this project, I am more likely to tap into the perfection of the process. If I let go of needing to make this blog post, this video, this course perfect, and I focus on publishing and continually moving on to the next one and the next one and the next one, I'm going to become a better teacher over time. I'm going to become a better writer over time. It's inevitable. Now, assuming that I at least review some of what I've done and say, oh, what's one thing I can improve? I talked about that last time as well, right? So what project, if you could create quality, is probably going to create more income or higher income for you or more quality work for you? So whatever project or task that you want to increase the quality of or to become more consistent in, it's risky, it's difficult, but only if you only had the purpose of making that project quality or consistent. If you step out again and say, well, what is the purpose of my work overall, as we did in the beginning of this session, and if you focus on that, oh, self-realization, oh, to be of service, oh, to make a positive impact, okay, great. Then this project is just one point along that entire journey, and it's fine. I just have to do this project knowing that I'm going to make a bigger and bigger impact over time, right? Without publishing, without posting, without sending that email, without making that call, right? We can't, there's no opportunity for self-realization, nor for being of service, nor for making a positive impact. So the wonderful thing is these things are all aligned. Publishing the book, posting the video, making that call, right? Pressing send. Those will, over time, get you more clients, more students, more money, more opportunities. And over time, if you focus on the bigger purpose, right, it will also get you deeper self-realization, greater service, more positive impact. They're aligned. But you've got to publish, post, send, call. Right? Okay. Now, one of the ways that we're stuck, perhaps the most frequent way we're stuck about publishing, posting, sending, whatever it is we're talking about, is we think, again, we're making the mistake of making the purpose a perfect course, the purpose, the perfect email, the purpose, a blog post that everybody responds to, right? And so, oh my God, right? And so that's my action for you, is to step out from that purpose into the larger purpose and see this as being one point among 1,000 blog posts you'll write, 100 courses you're going to publish, 10,000 people that you'll call, or whatever it may be. Okay, just one point. Now, within a project, you might be trying to create a course, to launch a program, to grow your business. The problem with that, now we're kind of, we talked about going out, going to the bigger picture so that we can get grounded in the bigger purpose and always be successful, always experience that kind of success. Because if you're focused again in this second on self-realization, you've just succeeded in your greater purpose today, right? We've practiced that idea of going out. Now let's practice the idea of going in. I heard this story. I think it's could apply to a lot of you. There's this very successful life coach who says, basically what she does with all of her clients is to help them be specific. That's all she does. That's pretty much what she does. That's her main thing. She helps her clients get specific. And when her clients get specific, they take action. And when they take action, they grow. Okay. So that's my invitation to you, is to get specific. So if you think about, Zuzka wrote, having a project portfolio, great. Joselito says, creating an online class, wonderful. Let's get specific. So I invite you now to write down, what is the project that you would love to complete, publish, post, create. Write that down first, as Zuzka and Joselito have done. And then, for the next minute, write down any specific steps you know needs to happen for that project to be complete, to be published, to be posted, to be sent, okay, to be shared. Go ahead and take a minute and do it now. Including those of you who are watching the video, I'm going to literally just give you a minute to do that right now. Write down the specific steps. Doesn't have to be in order, but write down as much as you can what the specific steps are. Go for it. Wonderful. Thanks, Zuzka, Tamara, Eric, for having chatted that in. Those of you watching the video later, the chat log is available to you, by the way. And so you might want to take a look at the chat log starting at about 20 minutes in, and you'll see what some examples of the specific steps are. Okay. Now, the next step is to look at the specific steps you've written down and feel into how you feel about each step. Does each step feel easy and doable? Or does any one step there feel daunting and resistance? So here's what I want you to do now. For any one of those steps that feels daunting or where you feel resistance, I encourage you now to write down the specific steps that will make that task feel less daunting, feel more doable. Go ahead and take a minute and do that now. So take a look at the step, any of the steps you've written that feels daunting or resistance, and break that one into more specific steps. Go ahead and do that for a minute. Great. And if you're watching this later, you can pause the video if you want to continue writing. Zuzka wrote, give myself permission to do exactly what I want to do, say exactly what I want to say out loud, and write it down and feel good about it. And that actually ties in beautifully to what I wanted to share with you next, which is the importance of visualization. Now, visualization is usually taught as I'm seeing myself holding $1 million check, you know, I'm seeing myself driving a red Porsche, right? This is all popularized by that movie, The Secret, from however many years ago it was, and that was 10 years already. And you know, a lot of people have made fun of it by this point, because a lot of people sit at home visualizing that $1 million check, and of course 0.0000001% of people happen to walk to the mail and find $1,000 check and they, oh, this thing worked, right? But the 99.99%, like I swear I visualized it for a year and nothing happened. I think that visualization is most effective when you can imagine yourself doing the steps that you just wrote down, and as Zuzka says, feeling good about it. So I invite you to, you know what, before we even go any further, actually, I invite you to stand up, even those who are watching the video later, stand up, okay? Turn your body so you're no longer facing the computer or the phone or whatever you're watching this on. Stand up, turn, stretch, and come back, and we'll do this for 20 seconds. Go ahead and do that now. I'll talk later about the importance of doing that, but let's get back to visualization. As you look at the steps that you've written down, and here is my cat, by the way, that's not my tail. It's Cat Mango. He jumps up. I'm sitting on a high chair, and he likes to jump up sometimes when I'm doing these webinars. So as you look at the steps that you've written down, go ahead and take a look right now at the steps. And I invite you to see yourself doing one or more of the steps and watch in your mind's eye, feel what it's like to do that thing, and try to imagine yourself smiling or happy or confident or at ease or graceful as you do that action. So go ahead and take a moment. I'll just give you half a minute to look at the step and imagine yourself doing that right now. Go ahead. Now, how was that for you? Those of you who are here live with me, go ahead and chat in how that experience was. Now, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to do this. This time, I want you to think about one of the steps that involves an audience of some kind, whether it's writing something to a client or doing marketing for your audience or creating a portfolio for potential investors, donors, hire employers, etc. Okay. So one of your steps that requires somebody else's reaction, that you're going to get their reaction one way or another. I want you to imagine that the person you're doing it for is such a fan of yours. And you may actually want to imagine a supportive friend that you're doing this for, a family member, a mentor, somebody, if you have a social media following, somebody who really enjoys your content, whatever person you can imagine being a fan of your work. Picture that person as you write or send or create for that person, and how eager and happy and supportive they are as you create that, as you take the action of creating. So go ahead and take 30 seconds now to do that. Could be that they're excited to see this thing that you've put together. They're delighted. They're so thankful that you created this. So Claire wrote, feelings of calm, ease, and joy. Tension and shoulders melting away. Zuzka wrote, it was great. I thought of the term demonstration project to name it, and I chose a feeling a certain way, that I was feeling the right way about it. Casper wrote, uplifting. I could feel the clarity. Yeah. Maria says, it makes me look forward to finishing the project. Tamara says, I'm smiling and I can't wait to play with my friends. What we just spent well, a total of what, a minute and a half or 2 minutes doing the visualization. And already it makes a difference for that project that you're going to work on, because it makes a difference in your state. Your state is your top priority. This is why we focus on that. This is why I wanted to focus the topic of a whole session on this, right? Your state is your top priority. So I hope that today, as you go forward in your work, tomorrow, the next day, you'll keep coming back to this idea of your state being your top priority, and use those visualization practices, even for just a minute, to make a real difference in how you go about that activity. If you do this again and again and again, you will change the nature of your work. You will create higher quality output. And because you're feeling good as you do it, you'll get more consistent doing it, which creates a greater quantity of output. I have a sort of another mantra that I say to myself, which is to be strict about showing up and to be lenient about results. Some of you have seen my blog post about that or seen my video. And it's very much coming out of this type of visualization and the greater purpose of work. If I, as most people are, afraid that I'm going to fail in this marketing campaign, I am resisting doing my taxes because I hate the details of the forms and the numbers, because I might get punished by the government for not reporting the right numbers. If I'm coming into any project with fear or dread, it's no wonder none of us want to show up. It's no wonder that we would rather get sick. We would rather take care of a friend, a family member, someone else's demands. We'd rather go check our email and feel productive, commenting on something in some group that we're following. No wonder, because those things feel easier. We're not, that those things have quick and easy return on our feelings, on our actions, a quick, feeling return on our actions. But if you are willing to do the visualization that we've been doing, to change your feelings about your actions, then it's going to be much easier to show up and do the portfolio and create the course and do your taxes. My taxes, I was doing it this weekend. I've been doing it for a couple weekends in a row. And what do I do before I do my taxes? The thing I most hate, in life, well, used to hate. Now I actually kind of enjoy it in some weird, sadistic way, masochistic way, whichever word that is. But it's because I visualize myself, I find a way to enjoy the silly activities of doing the taxes. Not silly, serious, right? But I find myself a way to enjoy it. And I think about the bigger purpose. Is like, the bigger purpose actually for my taxes is like, can I find enjoyment in anything I do? That's the bigger purpose for me in that arena. And the answer is yes. If I'm creative and if I'm willing, then I can be creative enough to find the enjoyment in doing even my taxes. So I slow down, I take care of one little number at a time, and I enjoy the curvature of the number. I mean, literally small things. I put on some, nice ambient music and whatever it takes to enjoy that activity. It's so fun now. And of course, I don't take too long. I just do it for half an hour to an hour, right? Finding a way to show up no matter what. And then to be lenient about the results, because the results don't really matter. Remember, it's not about the portfolio getting finished this month or whatever. I don't care. Yes, you can set goals and say, that's my aim. But that aim is that smaller purpose that doesn't really determine the success of my life. The success of my life is a bigger purpose. Did I bring enjoyment to that? Did I bring grace to it? Did diligence to it? Did I bring love to it, right? Did I look at self-realization in that activity? So strict about showing up, because showing up can be fun, can be self-realizing, can be of service, can be an expression of my soul. And lenient with the results. Hey, this morning, for example, last night, my dog woke me up, because he had to go out. It was rare, but it happens sometimes. And I slept in this morning until, half an hour later than I typically would, which gave me half an hour less time to do my blog post this morning. I usually have 7 to 9 a.m. and with some breakfast and naps and stuff in between. But this morning I started my blog post at 7:30 because I had to sleep in. I was exhausted. Did I then say, well, I'm not going to do the blog post today? That's what most people would do. I'm not going to do the blog. No one is holding me to my blog post. My audience is very understanding. No one's going to say, George, I hate you. You didn't post on your Wednesday like you usually do. No one says that. I'm the only one who might even say it. But I say, hey, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to show up anyway. With less time to do my blog post, I'm just going to do it lenient about the results. And at 9 a.m., I didn't have a client appointment, but I had my calendar set to work on another project. And because I use FocusMate, which, by the way, is a tool that I love and highly recommend to everybody, at least try it a few times, focusmate.com. The founder of that software is actually wrote the foreword of my new book, Joyful Productivity. So I'm a big fan of that service. So FocusMate is where you sign up and you show up to work with somebody else. They're working on their thing. I'm working on my thing. We keep our cameras on and we just work for the 50 minutes. We can take a break in the middle if we like. So I had an appointment to show up. I was going to work on something else. So I did. I finished my blog post by 9 a.m. I didn't spend as much time as I would like, but I was lenient about the results. Okay. And I found my way to enjoy the process as well. So I hope you'll think about that. I call it scheduled flow. It's the combination of structure, discipline, regiment, and go with the flow, intuition, right brain, creativity, spontaneity, flexibility. It's the integration of the two. The discipline, structure, left brain, regiment is showing up on time, if possible, unless your dog, your kid, your aging parent, whoever you're taking care of wakes you up in the middle of the night. Fine, sleep in, okay. Still show up, okay? Be structured, be regimented, be disciplined about showing up. And then during the hour you've got to work, half hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, however long you've got to work before your next project, be in the flow, be creative, be spontaneous, be not spontaneous like I'm scared now, I'm gonna go surf Facebook to relieve my fears and to resist this work. But I'm gonna be strict about staying with that project that is challenging. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that visualization that we've practiced to bring the enjoyment to it, to bring the flow back, to bring the intuition, the creativity, the love, the grace, the ease back into this. Scheduled flow. That's how I work day to day. So let's go on to the last thing before we talk about. I wanted to spend the last 15 minutes answering some questions that were raised from the first session. Some people wanted some details about my calendar, my systems, boundaries, things like that. But I want to take a few moments to talk about the bigger structure, I guess, the bigger showing up, which is, well, it may seem strange for me to say this, but it's frequent creative rest. When I show up, it doesn't mean that I am there, butt in seat, not moving, for an hour. In that hour, I get up at least once, just like we practiced randomly in the moment about half hour into this session. Some of you have heard of the Pomodoro method, which is a popular time management method where you work in 25-minute chunks. You set a timer for 25 minutes. I usually work at the computer. So my timer is a free website called tomatotimer.com, tomato-timer.com. I literally open that and I put it into a separate window. I shrink it. I'll show you exactly what I mean here on my screen so you can see how this works. So I go to tomatotimer.com. I click and drag the tab so it's in a separate window. Okay, I will shrink it. It doesn't matter what corner I drag, but I shrink it. I shrink it. I scroll down so that I'm just seeing the 25 minutes. I drag this into some side of my screen. Okay, and then I click on the word Pomodoro, and the 25-minute timer starts. And I have that timer here while I also rearrange my browser window so I don't miss the timer. It's always there, big numbers right there, showing me that I've got 24 minutes left to work. And then so I'll do my work. And then once the timer, when the timer gets to zero, it's the noise is kind of annoying. It's beep, beep. It's a little bit annoying. So I try to stop the timer by clicking short break, before it gets to zero. So before it gets to zero, let's say it was 30 seconds left, I'll click short break. And then I've got 5 minutes to take a break. And of course, I got to come back. Since the timer is a little bit loud, usually I hear the timer or I try to come back before the 5 minutes is over. And then I will go and click Pomodoro again and start my 25 minutes all over. At the end of the day, of course, I can just click down here and click on reset to just put it back at 25 minutes. And what I'll do is I usually minimize this tiny little window so that it's down here. When I'm ready to work with it again, I'll just pop this back up and then I'll click Pomodoro again, and then there it is. It starts. So I kind of do that throughout the day. This is one method of frequent creative rest. And what I mean by frequent creative rest is that, first of all, most of us, part of the reason why we don't like our work is because we do it for too long of a stretch, I think. So you're sitting at the computer and you are, and the excuse you make to yourself is, well, I'm in flow right now. I'm, really into the groove. And so you just don't move and you're staring at the screen for 75 minutes at a time or something like that. And if you keep doing that day after day, you tend to start resenting the computer after a while. You want less screen time. It's nothing wrong with the screen. It's how long you spent in any one segment is the problem. So I force myself, using that timer, 25 minutes. I don't want the dang beep, beep, beep to go. I force, okay, I got to get up now. And I click on short break. And what I've noticed over time, again, that's also part of my strict. I'm strict about showing up and I'm strict about taking breaks. And this is important, it doesn't matter if I'm in flow at that moment. It doesn't matter if I'm brilliant, genius, muse, guardian angel is channeling through me. The guardian angel can wait. They don't care about time, right? The muse is eternal, okay? If you're secular, your brain is far smarter than, oh my God, I lost train of thought. It's gone forever. No, that's silly. We get ourselves so wound up by the fear of missing out, but we're also the fear of missing out on that train of thought that we had. And oh my God, it's going to get lost if I don't keep going. That's silly. I promise you, if you try taking more breaks, you'll do more creative work. And what's interesting is your guardian angel or your muse or your brain seeing that, oh, they're really disciplined about taking breaks. You will find yourself being able to get into a flow quicker. Okay. If you give yourself 3-hour chunks to work at the computer, you'll spend the first 45 minutes surfing Facebook, right? The next 15 minutes making tea, and then the next half hour playing a game, and finally, an hour and a half into it, you're finally in flow working. I give myself 25 minutes, and I'm in flow. For sure, I'm in flow. Sometimes it's a really hard project. Like today, I was working on a marketing copy. Like a colleague of mine wants to promote one of my courses, and of course, I'm like a little nervous about their audience and what should I say to, I temporary amnesia about the fact that it's not about convincing anybody. It's about talking to the 10% who will be so eager for this, right? And do my visualization. Well, anyway, so it took me like until 24 minutes into it to really kind of start working on it. But that's better than taking 60 minutes before I start working on it, right? Frequent creative rest. Now you know why I call it creative rest, because frequent rest, from frequent rest arises creativity, frequent creative rest. And so some of you have seen my schedule of content creation. I want to show you the screen for the resources that you're going to see later. Hopefully you recognize this document, but this is the chat and resources document that comes along with this workshop in this online course. And in the session 2 links, if you click on my schedule of content creation and you click on this link right there, it will show you my exact schedule for how I do each of my blog posts from 7 to 9 a.m. every single day. Okay, let's see here. Logistics, content writing. Okay, here it is. So look at this. This is more or less the exact schedule. I mean, sometimes it's give or take 10 minutes, but this is pretty much it. Today I didn't start at 7. I couldn't. I had to start at 7:30, right? So, but look at this. I work in the morning for projects where I have less time. I take more breaks. Less time means I need to take more breaks. So I do 15 minutes because why? Because each segment forces me to get into the flow as quickly as possible. And then during the break, my subconscious mind is working on my behalf so that when I come back, so 7 to 7:15, it might take me until 7:13 to really get into the writing. And then from 7:15 to 7:20, I'm outside doing some deep breathing, gentle deep breathing and some stretching and some, silly yoga, because I don't know how to do yoga, but I pretend I know how, and I do some yoga outside in my yard. Okay. And then I come back and another 15 minutes, I'm writing at a fast pace because I know that in 15 minutes, I got to make breakfast. And what I do is instead of using Tomato Timer, I use an app on Chrome. It's a free app called One Click Timer. So it's a 15 minutes, great. Okay, and the 15 minutes is going. And it shows me here 15 minutes in green. And when it goes down to like, it'll go turn yellow when it's like a few minutes left, and it'll turn red when it's seconds left. It's kind of fun to kind of, oh my God, I'm still in green, good. I can still have time to go into the flow. And when it gets yellow, I'm like, okay, I better write faster now. So I give myself these windows to get into the flow, and having practiced that for months, I get into the flow very quickly now, right? 7:20 and 7:35, and then 7:35, 7:45, I make my oatmeal or my boiled eggs or carrots or whatever I'm eating. And then I eat breakfast at the computer, with each bite. I'm like, great, I'm going to finish my blog post now. And then I take a nap for about 20 minutes. And then sometimes my nap goes until 8:45 or whatever. But basically, I have about until 9 a.m. to finish quick edits and publish. And so literally this exact blog post took me that exact time, just like every other blog post that I write, which is why I don't have time to create. I don't have time to find an image usually. Sometimes I do, but usually I don't, because the images take me longer to find than write. Sometimes some of you are, let's see here. So like this is the one I did this morning that I started at 7:30 instead of at 7. But I basically just quickly wrote, and this is shorter than my most blog posts because I didn't have as much time to write, right? Frequent creative rest. So I want to ask you, how are you doing that in your work? For me, I take get this, I take 4 naps a day. Now that's probably more than most people should, but I take a nap, as you saw, right after breakfast. Okay. I take a nap around 11 a.m. Before or after the morning dog walk. I take a nap after lunch, and I take a nap before or after the afternoon dog walk. So 4 naps, and then I try to not have to take a nap before I go to sleep at night. And each nap is between 10 and 25, sometimes 30 minutes. But that's part of my frequent creative rest. So that the naps really help. The dog walks help, of course. The 25-minute segments where I get up and just stretch or turn my body, like we did earlier, that also is part of my frequent creative rest. But every time I do that, I know my subconscious mind is working. And you may have felt this too. When you move your body, you move your brain. So I encourage you to I urge you to be observant at not staying at the computer for too long a stretch. And then find ways of taking breaks that you enjoy. Getting some tea, taking a walk, doing some yoga, petting the cat, whatever it may be, okay? Going to the restroom, of course. Talking to a coworker, right? Okay. And by the way, I don't fall asleep in most of my naps. And let me just make a quick mention of that. Learning how to sleep and learning how to nap is one of those core life skills that I wish people taught us, in kindergarten and whatever, instead of forcing us to close your eyes and just, try to go to sleep. It's a terrible idea. When I sleep or when I nap, here's what I do. And you may have a different energetic practice, but you need to have some kind of practice. So a couple of quick things. Breathing matters a lot. I'm trying to match my breathing when I'm laying down and trying to nap or sleep with the breathing that I would naturally breathe when I'm asleep. So it's something like, so it's that I'm just trying to synchronize my breathing to the natural asleep state. Okay, so breathing is really important. Second thing, super important, no planning, no thinking through anything. Okay, if I can think about anything, I find that when I'm drifting off to sleep, I have these bizarre thoughts, right? Really weird scenes and weird combinations of ideas. And that's cool. I let myself drift and think weird thoughts. But if I start planning my next, project, or think about my yearly plan or whatever, then I'm like, okay, left brain, stop. Right brain, perfect for napping and sleeping. So second is observing, making sure I'm not trying to plan. And third is, for nightly sleep, no light, no sound, or sound machine, having a sound machine, a air filter, or buy a sound machine online or whatever. But get blackout curtains. We got cheap ones. They weren't that much. They were under $50, I think. You can order them online too, completely black. It's cheap material. I just saw a study of how even one sliver of light compared to 2 groups of people, having one sliver of light in their bedroom increased the rate of depression. Because even one sliver of light, a little bit of light, decreases the quality of sleep even a little bit, and that increases the rate of depression. Less quality of sleep, more depression. 0 light if possible. Now, one sliver, our blackout curtains aren't perfect. So sometimes there's a sliver at the top, sometimes in the middle there's a sliver, on the sides, fine. It's not perfect, but it's fine. So light, sound, if you get a sound machine, if you have a noisy neighbors or neighborhood or whatever, earplugs or eye mask. And then the most important thing is visualizing. Visualizing. For me, what really helps is imagining this cocoon of healing rays, kind of gently, healing rays, just trying to kind of go into my body. I've just been doing that for the past few months, and it's amazing. I tend to drift off to sleep. I just kind of I'm just imagining the feeling of the healing rays. I'm completely surrounded. The size of it is a little bit bigger than just right next to my body, but it's a little bigger. So I'm kind of imagining this big cocoon. And so whatever I used to visualize like a golden string of light from my heart all the way to the center of the earth. That helped too. But I kind of tried different visualizations. and that helps me drift off into bizarre thoughts and dreamland. So, and at naps, I don't have to fall asleep. Just knowing that laying down is helpful. So if you don't force yourself to sleep, you tend to fall asleep more easily. So, okay. The last thing I want to do, we have a few minutes left, is to talk about the details of my calendar a little bit. So if you have any questions, those of you who are here, feel free to chime in. You can unmute your phone just for greater ease of discussion. Anything about my calendar that you want to ask about. And I'm going to show you on my screen what my calendar is, so that you can ask your questions. Okay. Okay. And expand my screen a little bit here. Okay. And let's see here. Yeah, no, that's good. FM is FocusMate. I just have a recurring item, and this basically I always schedule FocusMate appointments during that time, so that's why it's overlapping there. And anyway, I can toggle that on and off. And basically, you now know my exact schedule for content, breakfast, morning review. Oh, I should mention, sometime in the 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I do my morning review. Sometimes that's during breakfast. So I didn't actually put that into my schedule, but that's actually in there as well. This is my client forum and group tasks that I do this Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I kind of split that up. My Google Plus and YouTube ads, I'm starting to practice with that more and more, kind of getting good at that. I don't know why this is overlapping. I think I need to delete that. That's obviously that's incorrect there. EOD, one person asked me, George, I thought you said not to use social media schedulers. Why are you using Buffer? Buffer isn't buffer.com. It's just a buffer in my day. So I give myself 90 minutes at the end of my day to finish my daily checklist. I have my daily reviews right there. Daily reviews. I literally look at this every single day. Okay, so it's my end of day checklist. So that's what EOD means. Okay, end of day checklist. Let's see here. Inbox is to clear the inbox, and the buffer is just having some extra time. Zapier or VA training. So this is where I'm focused on learning my automation, getting better at that, to automate my business a little bit more, along the way, or training an assistant. Right now at this moment, I don't have an assistant. I think I mentioned that. Right now I'm in a period of my business where I purposely want to experience everything in my business, doing every single thing without an assistant, so that I can streamline things and automate things more. So I think that's a good practice to not have to lean on an assistant, if possible. Okay. Client learning, it's not really a Facebook Live. I should change that. But every week I do an interview with a client. They can share their learnings in their business for my audience's sake. Pre-workshop prep and marketing. So I have a document for that. So notice how I make it easy on myself, right? I say, well, this is when I'm working. Or by the way, I can always move these things around. If a client says, I really would love to meet you Tuesday at 2 p.m. I have nothing else that week. Fine. If it's an important client, I'll say, great, let's do that. And I'll move this to another open spot, right? So I can do this anytime, doesn't matter. But if I click on this, I've already put a link there to bring me to my plans. So everything is all structured. Like, I'm working on the workshop. What am I doing, right? What are the specifics? Like I said, write down the specifics of the actual things I do. And so there it is, right? These are the specifics of my Joyful Productivity 2. I've already done everything for today's session. And now, day 0, I have to upload this video later to YouTube and, pause a welcome email, send the replays to you all, and send it to my clients as well, blah, 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 blah. And I'm literally going to do all this later today, right? March 15th, I'm going to do that, blah, blah, blah. So all these are all documented for exactly what I'm doing. And when I'm done with something, I will put a Y saying, yep, I'm done it, and it automatically turns green. NA just means, guess what? Sometimes I don't do them. And so even the plans I wrote down, sometimes I decide not to. For whatever reason, it's not relevant for that workshop or whatever it may be. I'm already done with that or something like that. sending my newsletter every week, or my weekly or monthly newsletter, plan my next week's content. Again, I have a document there telling me exactly what to do. I don't have to think. I try to think as little as possible. Okay. And so it's like, okay, how do I plan? Okay, I literally look at this every single week. I could have memorized this, but I don't. I try to memorize the least possible. I try to write everything down so I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, the Monday video, right? The next book, let's make a video that is going to probably go into my next book, because a video turns into a blog post, which turns into one of my book chapters, right? Tuesday, blog a post from 4 weeks ago. So look at my Medium stats and pick one that has more fans, and I'll turn that into one of my online blog posts. Wednesday, topic of the next book, etc. Friday, look at one of my Zoom chats from my client calls or whatever, and answer a question that clients have. So I have everything all written down, so I don't have to think about anything. I know exactly what I'm doing. Book and program launch. I have a spreadsheet for that, right? So how am I working on my book launch? Great. What's the next step? I'm working on Joyful Productivity right now. So what is my exact next step? The next step is start designing social media cover. Yes, I've already done that on Fiverr. Create the web page about the book. That's what I need to do. And I'm already, today is the day I'm going to have to do that, right? So let's see. Networking. So I've got my, reconnect with 3 individuals from my KIT list. I have a whole list of people, keep in touch, people I want to keep in touch with, etc. So I've got my list there. Blah, blah, blah. That's my client stuff. Online workshop for an hour, post-workshop buffer. We're already going over 1 hour right now, so I give myself a half-hour buffer. I hope you do too when you attend my workshops. I tend to go over to 90 minutes. So now that I give myself that buffer, maybe you should too, if you want to do my live workshops. Analyze questions from my client group and from my workshops. Spend half an hour. Look at my chat log. Is there any topic that I want to create a video on, improve my next course? So that's analysis time. Again, client forum, service improvement. I have some tasks on my to-do list in the service improvement category that I just open that category up and say, well, what do I feel like doing? Nothing is urgent there, right? End of day. Again, same thing, preparing my workshops. I have that same exact spreadsheet that I'm going through. I now give myself 2 days a week to prepare, to do kind of my workshop spreadsheet stuff, so that if I don't get it done one day, I know I have 2 days later, I'm going to do it, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let's see, exploratory call. This is just in case. This is, give myself half an hour each week in case a potential client wants to talk with me for half an hour. And once the client schedules, I'll delete this item. So this is kind of a space holder, for that. Niche or website user interview. So once a week, I try to talk with a fan of mine to find out what they're buying and how I can work my way into their budget more with my offerings, things like that. I think all business owners should really do that. You should be doing, it would be wise of your business to do at least one niche interview or website interview, website user interview, meaning having a fan look at my website and give me her feedback on it. But, doing one a month is really not a nice minimum. Even if you do once a quarter, that's more than most business owners, right? I try to get myself to do it once a week. It's funny. My timer is telling me, so I'm going to stop that here. Okay, optimization is there's a list of tasks in my to-do list that are optional, but whenever I think of an idea to optimize my marketing, I'll put it into my to-do list. And then when it comes time, Thursday at 2 p.m., I'll open that to-do list and I'll go down the list and say, what am I energized by to take action on right now? Same thing, scaling my course sales. What's my strategy and planning? And, I have a list of possibilities for that. Post-workshop, part 2, or part 1 is, I guess, this one. Post-workshop part 2 is basically things like, did I send the replays? Just want to give myself some extra time to do some of these things. Right. Schedule posts for my client group. And so I just shown you my entire week. This is how I run my business. Exactly how I run my business. My entire business is run like this, just giving you the entire plan. Right. And then all the white spots are client meetings or meetings with potential colleagues to promote my courses. That's it. And then potential additional, podcast interviews or whatever else I'm doing. People want to interview me for this or that if I have time. Okay. Cindy says, is your wife as organized? No, she's not, and I don't force her to be. Otherwise, I prefer to keep the marriage good than to make her one of my students. So, so yeah, she doesn't create content regularly. She doesn't do niche interviews. I don't force her or even request her to do any of that. I focus on the relationship, not on making her a client or a student. So, okay, let's see. Any other questions before we adjourn this call? Oh, and a person asked me about boundaries. George, how do you set boundaries with with your family members, as I mentioned, I'll have to say, one of the things about living this kind of life is that I have very few friends. I actually would say I have no local friends. And I think I purposely keep it that way because I really don't want to go to birthday parties. I don't go to any parties. I don't go to any social gatherings. Social gatherings are when clients happen to be in town. We get together for dinner. I used to feel so sad that I have no friends locally. I mean, all of you are my friends, I have friends virtually, and I like to keep it that way, like boundaries. I used to be sad, like, oh, you're supposed to have friends. You're supposed to get together with people several times a week. It's supposed to be good for your mental health and all that. And I kind of changed my view in the past year. And I actually really enjoy it. When my wife goes out with her best friend for dinners every now and then, I get to stay at home and watch some Netflix show that maybe she doesn't enjoy. And I just relish in the ability to just do some stuff on my own now. So I think I get my social activity from stuff like this, like getting together with my clients, do my dog walks. There's some people at the dog park that I hang out with, maybe a little bit just at the dog park, but that's about it. So I say no to everything. And that's why I don't have any friends. My mom, I should visit her more often, but I only visit her 3 times a year, and she's only in Vegas. It's only an hour and a half plane ride away, and I only visit her 3 times per year. Partly because it's she's very demanding. So so I guess I keep my life quite insulated, and that's what allows me to do this. And so you really have to trade off. You really have to, if you want to have lots of friends or any friends locally, or you need to go see family or friends elsewhere, or you want to go to your regular, events or whatever. By the way, my calendar allows for regular events. I can have a regular, if you observe my calendar, I can do anything in the evenings. I don't have to have dinner with my wife every night. I can basically from 7 to 9 p.m. you have my time. I mean, literally, I had a client, somebody came to the city and wanted to meet me and my wife, and she thought it was a burden. I'm like, it's great. It's during my non-work hours. You come and see me like once a week. We'll have dinner, 7 to 9 p.m. I can't see you every day, but literally 7 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and Sundays, possibly we can have dinner. So lunch is not good because I only have to take a nap during that time too. So you see, like I can socialize at night, and I can have a regular. I try not to plan anything, even social on Saturdays, but Sundays I have some time to hang out. So events or whatever. So anyway, I think that's all I want to say. Zuzka says, how do you get yourself to do things on time if you know that you have a buffer later in the week when you can do them? I find I would just put it off, maybe. What do you do with that buffer time if you don't need it? Remember I said in the first session I give you this homework assignment to try to have such a short to-do list that you literally end your day early and you go, what do I do now? Like, it's such a weird feeling, but I want you to have that weird feeling more often. Just like I'd love for you to experience that weird feeling of having time at the end of the week where you're like, well, I buffer time scheduled to do my blog post, but I did it on Wednesday. Cool. I guess I'll look at my to-do list to see what else I could do. So that's my homework for you this session, is to practice that buffer and that white space on a more macro level of the week. So practice it for the day, and then also practice it for the week to say, oh my God, I have nothing left to do on a Saturday. I literally can do anything I want. And that allows you to be fully spontaneous. So my Saturdays are like that, fully spontaneous, anything. I want to go in, 4-hour dog walk, fine, doesn't matter, Okay, so any other questions? Okay. Yeah, if you have any other questions, just comment below the video or email me, those of you who are live here, and I'll cover that in session 3, the final session. Thank you for being part of this workshop. I so appreciate your presence and your dedication to improve your schedule and your joyful productivity. So I look forward to your results from this, your practices, your feelings about it. And also, if you wouldn't mind giving me some feedback about how the workshop is going, I will put a link in the notes of the video to give you the workshop feedback. I used to require everybody to give me feedback before they got the recording. Now I'm no longer doing that. And I get maybe 1 feedback per workshop. So if you wouldn't mind giving me the second or third, I would appreciate it. So I wish you a wonderful week or day before you watch the next session. And the most important thing is to implement. Try out something that you heard or you experienced in this session, and let me know how things go for you. Be well, and see you next time.